Welcome back to Talk Tuah. We're your hosts. I'm Cam.
And I'm Pete.
And today we are breaking down the LOL podcast.
That's right. I mean, this laugh out loud funny podcast came to us with a very funny episode. I mean, this felt like a blockbuster entry in their series. The title was Kate Raged and Slapped Kenzie. For those who aren't familiar with the LOL podcast, it's a group of 5 young adults all having fun, making each other and the audiences laugh.
They're doing a lot of skits. They're doing a lot of sketches. Now, there were so many, just laugh out loud moments on this podcast.
And that's putting it lightly. And also the name, yeah.
As a companion podcast to other podcasts, we're breaking down full-on episodes. With this one, we're going to focus on the main moments. So that means we're not going to cover every little thing they say and do. We're really just going to hit the main beats of this thing, right?
There's just too much to capture.
I can't be laughing for 10 hours straight.
Yeah, this was 52 minutes of pure, unadulterated comedy. And I think to dive into the minutia of it all, how they arrive at each and every one of their jokes would just be more of a chore than a real, just go watch the episode for yourself.
That's right.
If you want to laugh.
We're not doing it any justice.
Yeah. We're going to just, pay attention to the big things. And there were a number in this episode,
so many that I would recommend they change the name from the LOL podcast to the LMAO podcast.
Or the ROFL podcast. I mean, these 5 really know how to pitch a joke, make it land.
They work extremely well off each other comedically.
It seems like a really incredible consortium of great comedic thinkers. I mean, we have...
It's a menagerie of laughs, perhaps.
Yeah, I would go that far. I mean, we have five stars. We have Maverick. We have Harper. I'm going from counterclockwise to clockwise, from stage right to stage left. So whichever it is, it's Maverick and Harper are on one couch, at least in this episode. Mm-hmm. And then we have Cash on the floor on a yoga mat. And then we have Kate and Kenzie. And it's important to know, just context for the show, that Maverick is married to Kenzie. So on the two ends of the set, we have the groom and the bride. And then we have Cash and Kate are the other couple on this quintet.
That's right. So Harper is fifth wheeling here.
Yeah.
And it's also important to note that they all live together in this house.
That's right.
Where this is shot.
Yeah.
And this is going to actually lead to some drama a little bit later in the episode.
I do want to correct that Harper does not live in the house, but
that's right.
She in fact lives with her mother, who is on set for this taping. But the 2 couples do live together in this house. It seems like a pretty grand property.
Now, Cash and Maverick both share the last name Baker. Now, this is not the skate company.
No, it's not. Give me another fast fact.
Well, there are heavy Christian undertones on this podcast. It's unclear whether it's secular or not. Yeah. But Cash looks to be wearing a cross on his shirt.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's 4 points on this thing, design on his shirt. But let's get into this set. I mean, this, to borrow from the Bible, looked like something out of Revelations. I mean, there were just a lot of things were astrew. But again, it was all artfully designed to, maximize the laughter and joy that comes from this podcast. But, we got Furby with 3D glasses on. We got an askew world map on the wall. We've got a hole in the wall that's labeled as a dinosaur zone.
This is a very lived-in space. Now, knowing it's in their house, I'm not sure if it's in their playroom or what.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly possible. Now, I mean, to go back to just exactly what's on the walls here, I mean, there's a beautiful art piece behind Maverick and Harper, behind their couch. It looks like an art piece inspired by Andy Warhol and Alan Moore and, that one artist who taped a banana to the wall.
It has postmodern roots, for sure.
Yeah. So that was a nice art piece. What else on the room? I mean, we got these 2 couches. The couch that Kate and Kenzie is on turns out to be ripped down the middle. There's it's fallen into a bit of a state of disrepair.
We see Gerald, which is just the dinosaur hobby horse.
Yeah.
They've named it Gerald.
And then we have that screen in the middle of the room, too, with the LOL podcast logo and on the screen.
Well, it fosters brand loyalty.
Yeah, it does. Now, I mean, should we dive into just what made this episode so great?
Well, I'd like to break down the technicals real quick before we hit these 2 main moments.
Yeah.
It seems like we had cameras on tripods, but those heads were fluid as hell because, there were points during these big moments where the camera would swing around wildly. Again, they probably brought in the camera operator from Children of Men or Chronicle.
Yeah.
Because he knew how to like fling that thing around.
I do think there was some resistance in the tilting on the tripod. I mean, sometimes, as it tilted upwards and downwards, it looked like it would take like 2 pushes down, or like it wasn't totally fluid. But I commend the camera operators on trying to capture the chaos that unraveled on this episode. But aside from that, I guess I do want to drive home that this is very much a video podcast. They really take full advantage of this being captured on camera to just have the most fun that they can. And they want this to be seen, I think.
Well, there's a lot of audio bumps. They're constantly shuffling around, moving around, hitting the mics.
No, they're not. We're fine.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it.
Is it moving?
That wasn't funny.
So if I were listening to this podcast on my morning commute, I would probably be thinking, damn, I'm really missing out on half the fun.
Yeah. So if you were an audio listener before to their show, I really think you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, that's not to say that some of the jokes don't translate in the audio. It's just there's a lot of visual gags that you're going to want to check out.
Now, we did have 3 additional camera angles. They were Maverick, Kate, and Kenzie's iPhones, which they pulled out multiple times to record moments.
Yeah.
But none of that footage made it into the main podcast episode, so I'm sure those were just for their own photo libraries.
Yeah, I don't know if the phone cameras capture stuff in incompatible codecs with what the main cameras were using. It just, I wish we could have gotten those angles. Maybe that's BTS. But, we'll see if it makes it onto the internet ever.
And there is an awkward moment in which Kate has her camera app open, and it's aimed directly, up her pants.
Yeah, but she's got her legs crossed, and this is just nestled between her legs. Her phone is, and the camera is clearly open on her phone, and the screen is facing the camera, so we can see this.
You can see into the screen. I really wish they either cut it out or just censored it completely.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit lewd for this program, but I think
it was crude, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, Kate, if this is something you do in your free time, I wish you all the best with it. But as a viewer of the LOL podcast, it's not something I signed up to witness.
Peter, I commend your honesty. Now, I'd like to move on, if that's okay, to our first watershed moment of the podcast, which I'll refer to as Schrodinger's Amazon box.
Yeah.
Do you want to set this up?
Sure. I mean, right off the bat, Maverick comes in with a offer and a promise of a gift for Kate.
A gift. The gift is for the estrogen side of the room. Specifically your wife.
Now, this is his sister-in-law. This is Cash's wife. Maverick has this box that has painter's tape over it to keep it sealed, but it's an Amazon box, so it's clearly been opened before. He's applied this painter's tape in haste, it looks like. Kate is already looking a bit wary of what could be inside this box.
That's right. At this point, no one knows what's in the box, and they really want Kate to open it. Now, Harper is volunteering. She's saying, hey, I can open it. And they're like, no, Kate needs to open it up. It's very important that both Kenzie and Maverick, it seemed like, were very adamant about her opening up the box.
Hey, just open the box.
Hey, open the box.
Don't ruin it.
Just set it in her lap.
Cash, just open it for her. Open it for her.
gotta open it.
Cash, open it for her.
You gotta open the box.
Open it right on her.
No, I'm not doing. Okay, Pape, you're no help.
Kate's afraid.
Yeah.
She's terrified of what's in the box. She actually stands up on the couch in fear.
Now, I think there's important context. To be fair to Kate, supposedly there was a past occasion where Maverick offered her a present, and the present ended up being a possum in her shower.
I love pranks with live animals. Those are the best.
Yeah, those do tend to get the biggest rise out of the victims, and that's what makes them so fun. And, the just having the animal there is just, an added benefit.
Just a living creature for an awesome LOL moment.
Yeah, but to get into Kate's head for a second, I mean, possums they're pretty scary. So I get why she'd be a little afraid of what could be in this box, given that this is Maverick offering a present again, and she's hearing sounds from it. They keep mentioning that they're hearing sounds like a rat, like that they're scurrying or something. They don't know what it is, but it seems like there's a live animal in this box. We don't really get that audio through their mics. This audio is kind of missing to the audience.
Yeah.
It's non-diegetic, but they're supposedly hearing this, and that's just adding to the tension. Kate is just scrambling up on top of the couch, and they're trying to coax her down and into opening the present. It's just a mess.
It's pandemonium. Now, I think at this point, let's play the clip.
Yeah.
And then we could see what's in that box.
Yeah.
Hey, just look! Oh my gosh! Guys. Oh my gosh.
Kenzie's blue headphones that went missing. How funny.
Yeah, I mean, this was a certified laugh out loud moment very early on in the podcast. It was a grand reveal, and Kate, I mean, she came out of this looking a little embarrassed, a little sheepish, and the others are just laughing. They couldn't believe she was so scared of Kenzie's headphones. I mean,
but again, this is why it was so important that they had to have Kate open up the box.
Yeah.
Because again, they're preying off of a certain reaction. Had Harper opened up, she was more gung-ho. I think she would have reacted differently. Even Kenzie.
prank would not have landed
because
if it was Harper or Kenzie.
they saw the way she reacted to the possum.
Yeah.
They said they did a former prank on her with crickets.
Yeah.
At a live show or something.
I just want to jump in and say that Cash and Maverick throughout this whole affair are something like the Ringling Bros. I mean, they are just they're taming the lions. They're teaching the acrobats. They're doing everything it takes to pull off this show. They are so full of energy. They're at each other's throats for good fun. And, they keep referring to the Kate and Kenzie side of the room, their two wives, as the estrogen side of the podcast.
The gift is for the estrogen side of the room. Uh-oh, estrogen is high over there right now.
I thought that was peculiar, given that Harper was on the couch with Maverick. So, I don't know.
Was she perhaps exuding masculine energy?
It may be through their eyes, but it just seems strange because it wasn't like a clean gender split. Not that would necessarily matter. Maybe that's just a nickname that they have for their wives, like the estrogen side of the relationship. But it certainly, added to this sense of separation, a division in the room.
But at the same time, while there was division, Cash was expressing remorse at his wife getting pranked that hard, saying how sad it was to see.
Kate, you'll be okay.
You'll be okay.
You'll be okay. This is sad to watch. I mean, this is sad.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, the other big reveal from this prank was that there was actually rat noises. Kate was not hallucinating that. It was, in fact, Maverick had prearranged with another friend, Alex, off screen.
What noises was it making?
Me and Alex just picked some rat noises on YouTube, and I told him to just play it every once in a while. So he's sitting over there just like...
who I guess was just playing rat noises through the headphones at random times just to heighten the stakes.
We don't know what Alex looks like, but I'm pretty sure we do see his forearm at some point when it, jostles into the camera.
That's right. And that was pretty distracting, Alex. I mean, keep your elbows out of the frame, please.
Hey, while we're at it, around 7 minutes and 57 seconds, there is quite an insane jump cut.
Why was it actually making...
We got to iron out these technicals, right? I mean, we're too far into the game for the LOL podcast for this to be commonplace.
Yeah, this was a little jarring. I mean, I was expecting to be able to zero in on Harper, and it just, I don't know what happened cutting to her. It just haywire.
Now, Pete, do you feel like Maverick might have gone too far in pranking Cash's wife here, his sister-in-law? Because ultimately, what was the prank, right? Kate thought she was going to get, an animal in the box.
Yeah.
And it was a pair of blue headphones that actually were Kenzie's missing headphones. So she was a byproduct of the prank.
Yeah, I mean, Maverick's own wife was kind of in on it. I mean, I'm sure.
Well, she didn't know where her headphones went.
Really? When you're married to a prankster like Mav and one of your prized possessions goes missing, you don't think that she would be aware that maybe that's what ended up in the box for Kate?
All I'm saying is he was, very, very forceful about opening up the box, and she didn't want to.
Yeah. But
she didn't want to get pranked. I mean, I think maybe this was just an issue of, let's respect boundaries,
But
pranks...
We have to remember what podcast this is. This is the LOL podcast. There's going to be pranks. There's going to be tomfoolery. There's going to be horseplay.
I just worry that Maverick took it a little too far. Because I know if I were in Kate's shoes and I opened up that box and it was a pair of blue headphones, that would have sent me over the limit.
It got me laughing. Everyone in that room was laughing. I noticed you were dead quiet when we were watching this, but
It made me just a little upset. I feel like as very much an empath watching this. I feared for Kate. There was a lot of on-set drama, right? Kenzie called Kate a baby.
yeah.
I'm fine. Kate's just being a baby for no reason.
Oh my gosh.
Shots fired. She is.
Kenzie and Kate. Now this is that
This is
relationship.
a through line here of the episode.
Through line, it felt like a major fault line to me. I mean, there were rising tensions with Kate and Kenzie, and they came to a major escalation. It felt like I was watching Mount Vesuvius explode. No?
Yeah, I mean, the end of this episode packed so many surprises. My head was spinning. But before that, I mean, just to warm up everyone, there was an even bigger surprise than what was in the box.
Right. So the box was the first big moment.
Yeah.
Now, Cash says he has another gift.
Yeah.
Right. So he gets up and he leaves set.
Yeah. He's missing for a few minutes. They start to wonder, what is he doing? He's supposedly going up to the attic, and there's already tension there. I mean, Kenzie lays the scene and explains that she had to move a lot of stuff out of the attic because there wasn't enough storage, and now like supposedly Cash has presents hidden up there.
Yeah, so
she's
Cash needed the space. She had to take it out, and she can't put her stuff in a garage because that's where Cash keeps the jet skis. So she has to pay for a storage space.
He got that whole jet ski in the garage, and it's just been sitting there.
What do you want me to do? Physically grab the jet skis myself and move them out?
yeah.
Because she only has one closet.
So Kenzie's a little upset about the idea that there's just presents laying around in the attic that are taking up storage that she could be using, and Cash is just rustling around. They hear it. We hear it through the audio, the microphones.
Hell,
even.
Harper's looking up. They can hear him walking around.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, I mean, I think it's after Maverick calls his name, he suddenly crashes through the ceiling. He's dangling like a rock climber, or like Tom Cruise dangling off the side of an aircraft.
Yeah, I mean,
screaming.
Oh my gosh! Cash!
he was hanging on for dear life off a wooden support beam.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to know at this moment, we can see there is a hole in his sock.
Yeah.
We have no idea if that hole was there before he went up into the attic or if that
was new from crashing through the ceiling. I mean, yeah, he had
it could have been a casualty. We don't know.
Yeah, he was sitting cross-legged for the first bit of the episode, so there's no way of seeing the one sock.
On a yoga mat on the floor, so...
Yeah, we can't pin down where that hole may have come from, but it's in clear sight. It's pretty embarrassing for him. He's just screaming like a jackal. Everyone is screaming. They're upset. Some of them are laughing. They just can't believe what's happening.
No, he said he fell through the ceiling because we do see him hit the ground. He lands on his ankle and shoulder and kind of rolls it off.
Yeah, and a hobby horse boinks him on the butt.
With the hobby horse dinosaur.
Yeah,
Gerald.
Yeah, that's right. That hobby horse. It comes crashing through the ceiling after Cash, and it boinks him on the butt, and he's gathering himself off the ground. Everyone's just settling down after the mayhem that just happened.
He falls with a sizable chunk of drywall.
I mean, he made a total mess. And supposedly it wasn't intentional. This would have been a baller prank.
Now, hold on a sec, because him falling through the ceiling, and he just so happened to grab that beam and hold on for dear life. Falling through a ceiling, you would have just, fell. It seemed like more he positioned himself, came out feet first, holding on to that. Where was he? The ground just collapsed beneath him?
Well, they were saying that he was like walking along the support beams, and so he probably maybe lost his balance and crashed through the paper thin.
But that doesn't explain why Gerald fell a couple seconds after he had already hit the ground. He didn't fall with the hobby horse. He fell first, landed on his ankle, and then the hobby horse came down and boinked him on the butt, as if that were being thrown down by someone who was a little higher than him in the ceiling, no?
Are you suggesting that Alex perhaps followed him up into the attic and made for an exciting second half of this prank rather than just an accident? I mean, look, I think Cash could be the next action movie star. I mean, maybe he is just... He's ready to tackle these adventures and insane dangerous stunts. I mean, grabbing that
Are you
support beam could
are
be.
you saying this was a total accident?
Look, I'll take his word for it.
It was a prank.
I don't know about.
He liked egging the girls on, and this further divided their relationship.
Well, it definitely made for some heated tensions after this, but like, look.
Well, we got into the fact that Kate said she has to always clean up all the messes, right?
Yeah.
So after this, she's like, oh, great, now I have to clean this up. And Kenzie got a little upset because she's like, oh, you think you do all the cleaning?
You know that the second we stand up, I'm going to start throwing the drywall away. I'm going to start vacuuming it all up. You know that's going to happen.
Oh, you think you're gonna clean it up all by yourself? Kate thinks she does all the cleaning.
I don't think.
Ooh.
I know.
All the
couple
cleaning.
episodes
I just don't think Cash pulled this prank off because every prank in this episode was, clearly laid out as a prank, whether before or after a big reveal. And so I think I'm going to take Cash's word for it. It was an accident, and he made a mess, and yeah, it then snowballed into this massive eruption. I mean, it lays the groundwork for Kate and Kenzie to be really upset with each other over like the uncertainty of who's going to end up cleaning this up.
Yeah, because they talk about that. And I think it's helpful if we just get to the slap and then we can retextualize, this moment and even the box moment, right?
Okay, yeah.
So the girls, they start getting more upset with each other.
Yeah.
And the boys are like, you guys want to hash this out on the pod? At first, they're kind of timid, but then, they're like, actually, let's hash this out.
Yeah, I think Kenzie was pretty eager to get this out in the open, didn't want to have to sit on it any longer. And so they get into this, bit of a bickering match about whether who has the right, a fair amount of space in this house that they all share. I mean, Harper's just kind of playing second or fifth fiddle to the whole group.
Well, Harper was trying to ease the tension a little bit by throwing a joke here and there, and the parental supervision theory was confirmed around 15 minutes with Harper. Her mom chimes in.
What is it, Mom? Joe Don Baker.
That's right. And I mean, it's important to know that there is that supervision and chaperone on set. But yeah, Harper's just kind of there in the middle of it all. It's kind of, I can't imagine how awkward that was for her as Kate and Kenzie are kind of at each other's throats. Cash and Maverick don't really know how to navigate this tricky situation with their beloveds either.
No, they knew how to navigate it. They liked them hashing it out. They knew it was going to get views. They knew it was going to be fun for them. It was going to be drama, good for the show. Yeah, neither of them stepped in to defend their wives' honor.
Of course not. But I think they were more timid than they were for much of the episode. I mean, they were extremely talkative and boisterous up until, this argument starts ramping up. Then they kind of take a back seat.
But hold on. Before that, I mean, Cash had the energy.
Okay.
He wanted a brawl. In
Yeah.
fact, he went back up to the attic.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
He wanted to go back up, and rather than using a stepladder, which they said they had, he insisted that Maverick and Kate
Or Harper.
or Harper hold him up, and he tried to crawl up there himself.
Yeah.
He bruised up his elbows.
Yeah.
And then when he did get up there, he started, throwing down all these Geralds at
Yeah.
them. He
All
threw
these-
down like 20 hobby horses down at them like he was Donkey Kong throwing barrels.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Oh, it's an army!
It's raining Gerald. Hallelujah. It's raining Gerald.
How many?
Oh my gosh.
It was like that, the scene in Magnolia, raining frogs. I mean, dinosaurs were falling from the sky.
Yeah. That climactic sequence. I mean,
So making a bigger mess
yeah.
to escalate tensions.
But
so where does
Maverick-
that go? Where's the boiling pot go?
Well, Maverick knew to clean those up. I mean, he threw those back into the hole in the wall before Cash even made it back down on the ground level. I mean, Cash was wondering, where do those go? Do they get their own legs and walk away?
Putting a bunch of Geralds up there. It's
Yeah,
kind of
that's
crazy.
kind of crazy.
You
I'm sorry.
well,
Why
you
are y'all
guys-
dehumanizing him?
You guys. Well, okay.
Also,
Cash.
where'd they go?
Cash, we gotta.
Seriously, I threw like 15 down here. Where are they?
As soon as they landed, they took off.
He did dutifully put them back in the dinosaur zone. I'll give you that.
Yeah, and then Cash comes down and he's complaining about splinchins. He's pointing to his elbow and saying that he's got some kind of medical condition called splinchins, and he's like, "Oh, this was exacerbated by my trip up to the attic. This is a nightmare. What's going on with my elbow?" And they're all like, "Cash, what's this word you're throwing around?" Harper was especially mystified. Splinchin. They then deduced that maybe he meant shin splints, but for his elbows. Did that make any sense to you, Cam?
This was a buzzword to just kind of give some more, easiness to the episode, a little bit of lightheartedness. Otherwise, it would have just been a cage match.
Yeah, I do have to appreciate Cash offering this, kind of, it reminded me of Frindle. You remember that book?
Sure.
About making up your own vocabulary, creating your own words out of thin air. Frindle being another word for pen, splinchins being another word for, bruises or, little scrapes in Cash's world.
I mean, look, Cash did go up into the attic originally with good intentions to get a gift. And when he did retrieve that gift, it was revealed to be, Shrek ears.
Yeah.
You went up there for Shrek ears?
We need it. Oh yeah, this was the gift I found. I found it.
Which
Pretty funny.
Well, funny, yes, but they didn't really help the situation because
Yeah.
at this point, Kate and Kenzie were very upset with each other. So going back to what we were saying, that's the whole thing with the attic.
I mean, this attic is a contentious zone for the two couples. Apparently, they've been having a bit of a brawl on who gets the rights to that. And it seems like Cash and Kate have been on the winning team there, that they kind of get to do what they want with the attic, while Kenzie has been forced to move her stuff into the garage or into a storage unit.
Cash and Kate were married for 2 years before, they moved in even.
That's right. They were early birds, and so they got the worm of the attic, but they also apparently, according to Kenzie, got the worm of the larger room with the larger closet, and Kenzie is relegated to this shit room where she has to walk to a closet. She has to leave her room to get to her clothes.
That's no way to live.
It seems like a mess. It seems really unfair. And so, Kenzie really wanted to hash this out on the podcast. Kate is just arguing like, look, we're just doing things what seems to be fair in the moment. We are all trying to move into a bigger property. We're trying to buy more land.
And Kate did say that Cash had been on Zillow for a long time.
If you go look at his most used app, it's going to be Zillow because he's just staring at his phone all day looking for land.
Yeah, I mean, he's something of a land prospector, it would appear. I guess he's just checking that thing daily, looking for new plots of land, new acreage that they can all move on to for a new homestead.
For the right price. I mean, she said herself, look, we're not just going to drop $1 million for like 5 acres of land, right?
Yeah, that's measly.
The land that comes up, 5 acres, is $1 million. And you know that that's not reasonable. We
my
can't
God,
just
what
drop $1
happened to
million on 5 acres.
They live in the big city, so they were saying, land scarcity is a real thing. I mean, that's why a lot of people say real estate is the best investment, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I think based on their experience, it doesn't seem like there's as much of a housing crisis as people say is out there. It's more of like a land crisis.
Yeah.
That is becoming tougher and tougher to buy land. And I really feel for
feudalism
these,
is on the rise,
Yeah, I mean, I really feel for these couples where they're confined to this room this house that, I mean, has a lot of space, but how far can you really stretch that when it's 4 of you under one roof? And sure, you have a play space, you have a playroom, you have an attic, you have a garage. It just, at a certain point...
What happens if you want to get more jet skis? At what point is the Fed going to step in and just, ease some of this tension, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for, podcasters to buy up land.
Yeah.
It's getting harder by the day. How is anyone, supposed to have a successful audio visual YouTube podcast, right?
Yeah. No, it's a tough economy. And look, my advice to these two couples is before you try moving out, make sure that you patch the holes in the walls, because that's not going to sell well. That's going to be tough on the market when you're going to sell to the highest bidder.
The spackle fees are going to be through the roof here, and I think Cash should pay the brunt of that. I know, he claims it was a mistake falling. I look at it like that was an intricate prank.
And apparently he's culpable for the hole in the wall, the dinosaur zone. So if you could patch that as well, I think they'd all be better off for it.
Not only that, but they're probably going to have to sink some money into new lights, right? As Cash was climbing up into the attic, the ceiling light was flickering, right? He must have disconnected a cord somewhere. I mean, that is a gaffer's worst nightmare, right? I think the best boy was able to restore power. He probably just, turned the circuit breaker on and off.
There goes the light. Imagine he electrocuted himself. The lights are back on.
I mean, everyone there was warning him.
Quite a stunt, right?
Yeah.
Quite a stunt.
I mean, Kate and Kenzie were on his ass a bit. They were saying like, hey, Cash, watch out for the lights. Don't hit the cords. Be careful. Don't get electrocuted. And Cash didn't really pay them any mind. I mean, he's just playing fast and loose with his attic adventures.
Well, that big adventure did give his host something to riff on.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Harper plucked a piece of drywall off the ground and asked the others if they've seen the videos of people eating drywall, and they were like, Harper, don't put that near your mouth. That's bad for you. She took a bite anyway. I mean, she's daring.
Right. I mean, her comedic instincts absolutely inspire me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I was watching Viva La Bam for a moment there.
And it was the perfect segue for Maverick's drywall joke.
Don't eat it.
No, that's really bad for you.
It is.
It's
like
It's pretty
chemicals.
dry.
He did run it back for maximum effect, and the second time it certainly landed a bit better than the first.
It's just a little chalky.
Was
The
it dry?
chemicals in your body.
I would expect it to be dry since it's drywall.
That it did.
But unfortunately, Cash's big adventure didn't get him in the good graces of Kenzie, who conjured him out to be a weird kid. What did you make of that moment?
Oh, okay, that
Okay,
wasn't it.
That's probably it, right?
Now, does that not scream weird kid to you?
Now that's a tough one, because even before he'd gone up into the attic, there were rumblings that Kenzie had this belief that he was a weird kid, and I mean, it seemed like going up there kind of proved her point. I mean, he came crashing down and...
But it was an accident. What's weird about an accident? The weird kid theory only works if you were doing that on purpose.
No.
Do you want to put all your cards on the table?
No, I still think this is an accident, because it's weird that he would let himself fall like that. I mean, he falls with spackled pants and moth-eaten socks. I mean, he's kind of a clown on the ground. But, I mean, that adds to his character, but I don't think this was an intentional fall.
So you don't think he was a weird kid, or you do?
I think you can still be a weird kid, even if your fall wasn't intentional.
And hold on a sec. I'm trying to understand this. Cash was going through his attic to get a gift.
Yeah.
And you're saying he made a misstep,
Yeah.
fell through the ceiling accidentally,
Yeah.
came crashing down, landing on his ankle.
Yeah.
That's weird. Falling through the attic?
Well, it's his house. He should know where to step. So
So if he knows where the support beams are and where they're not, then it was purposeful. And it was a prank. It wasn't an accident. Alex was up there, secondhand, holding the hobby horse on a catwalk above him. He was walking along the beam and stepped off it to pretend fall.
all right. I concede. I think there's more important things in this episode than just whether that was a prank or not.
Well, am I a weird kid for putting a hole in your plans?
Where was Harper through all this? While Kenzie's, gesticulating about this weird kid theory. Where was Harper?
She was recollecting on what it means to be podcast famous. She was bringing up the fact that she got recognized by a group of teens in LA who said, "You're so pretty." And then another teen said, "That's not what she said 5 minutes ago."
Yeah, busted.
So she said, "Look, I had to be nice, whatever." And I think that is one of the pitfalls of fame, right? If you run a successful podcast like the LOL podcast, you're going to get noticed in public whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct of your creative endeavors.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough when people aren't honest to your face because they feel that, maybe they're talking to the screen still, that they can't believe that you're there right in front of them. And it's sad to see Harper encounter this. It's sad to see any celebrity encounter this, but especially a podcaster. I mean, I feel that. It's not easy to feel like an outsider in your own body in a way. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Be so alienated by a medium that's just kind of a solitary conversational thing. I mean, because you are talking to the outside world, right?
Yeah. It's not quite solitary, is it?
You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah. I mean, this is much more than a solitary thing. We're sharing ourselves with the world. And so then when we see that world in the real world and they're not really nice to us, that sucks.
But look, Harper's role for a lot of this was mediating between, Kate and Kenzie like she was, JFK in the 60s.
That's right. I mean, Kenzie has been hammering her 95 Theses into this podcast recording, just really going to town with her gripes about Cash and Kate and how their relationship has just been, they've kind of dominated the house that they all have to share. And it builds to this point where Kenzie says, look, Kate, if you think you clean everything up around here and you think you kind of own the house, you run this town, what if I just spill this soda all over the carpet?
Right.
You're going to clean that up, right? Like the little maid you are, right? And Kate doesn't take too kindly to that.
So if I spill this, you're gonna clean it up.
Why would you do that? What do you
Just spill it all over.
What? Like, what in the world possesses somebody to do that?
Well, look, I think this was a massive wake-up call for Kate. Didn't really register, which is why Kenzie had to press the big red button.
Yeah.
And she took her tumbler filled with water, and she spilled it all over Kate's beautiful hockey jersey.
What?
I'll spill it on you.
Wow. Go clean
Now
that
you
up.
have to clean that up.
Yeah, as if the first strike wasn't enough. The soda on the carpet didn't really make a dent.
No.
I mean, sure, Kate was a little rattled. She's like,
There were some
there
some bells going off, but
yeah, but Kenzie had to escalate further. Things weren't getting through to Kate. Water in the jersey, that did it.
yeah, Kate stands up. She's incredibly pissed off. She's like, "You just got water on my phone. I love my phone." And then she throws her phone on the floor.
It's all over my phone. It's all over me.
Yeah, it's something like a sunk cost fallacy. Like, look, you did some damage to my phone. I'm just going to chuck it. Might as well throw this whole thing out.
Yeah, it's trashed. I mean, it's also, there's no OtterBox on it, so that thing is as good as effed.
Yeah. And yeah, this is the watershed moment of the episode. I'll say it. I mean, Kate gets up. She's shouting. She's pretty riled up. And she takes a swipe at Kenzie. Slaps her upside the face.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
All over the,
She really tried to cool her down.
Oh! What is wrong with you, Kinsey?
Actually connects with her ear.
Yes. And, I mean, we'll play this back and slow down. I mean, you can hear the smack.
Yeah.
I mean, this was no subtle sucker punch. This was a full-blown sucker punch.
You know, it was the kind of slap that it sounded like Kenzie needed to keep Kate's wife's name out of her goddamn mouth. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah. And at this point, all hell's broken loose. The room can't believe what they're seeing.
The gloves are off.
Harper, Cash, Maverick, all screaming for their lives. They don't know if Kate's coming for them next. And Kate storms off. And Kenzie's kind of rubbing her ear. She says her earring's in the back of her head now. I mean, this was like an Abe Lincoln shot. She got the John Wilkes Booth treatment, getting metal shrapnel in the back of her head.
It was pure carnage, right? And Cash and Maverick were just sitting pretty watching this happen. Should either of them stepped in at this point? Do you think this was fair game? I mean, this was beef between Kate and Kenzie, but it felt like the boys were stoking the flames, right, throughout the episode?
Sure, they were feeding, chicken feed to the cockfight, but
They wanted, this to be hashed out, and, that slap really hashed something out.
it was intense, and, tensions had to simmer for a bit after that. Kenzie kind of had to walk off. She said, we got to cut some of this. Cash was insistent that they weren't cutting any of it. This was prime material.
Because we're not cutting.
We have to
Totally
cut
made a
that.
mess. I mean,
I think we should live stream this.
Look, I mean, this is what makes a podcast great is, just intense emotions.
Well, I think also Cash is looking at it as like, look, this land isn't going to pay for itself, right?
Yeah.
We need the views.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the income coming in, right?
Yeah, if Cash wants to make all his Zillow swiping become fruitful for once, I mean, the paychecks better start paying off. And it seemed like Kate was putting in the work on her end. They're both gone, the two wives, and now Cash.
But also, it's important to know, Kate spilled her own Chick-fil-A drink on the floor after slapping Kenzie.
Why would you hit me like that?
How could I forget this?
And again, this is the sunken cost fallacy in effect. Again, she says, I'm going to forfeit my own Diet Coke here.
Yeah, she says, look, I already kind of laid the trap for myself that I'm going to have to clean this up. I'm going to have to clean up the small amount of soda that Kenzie had spilled. Might as well just throw the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Might as well just make as much of a mess as I can. I don't quite understand that mentality. It made for some good, excitement. But Kenzie and Kate are gone. the three are kind of wondering what the hell happened.
And again, this makes, Cash's drywall explosion prank, the mess he made look like small potatoes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because now you have an iPhone on the floor, you have Coke on the floor. Kenzie walked off without grabbing her iPhone. That thing is toast.
Yeah, it's something of a junkyard at this point. And then just when you think the episode couldn't get any crazier, Kenzie and Kate come galloping back onto set to reveal that this was a prank.
That's right.
Oh, y'all are best friends again. Oh. I stuck in Diet Coke. Y'all so got going. We actually got mad at each other.
This had all been orchestrated for dramatic effect, that they weren't actually mad at each other. There were no arguments about space in the house, that, there's plenty enough room for their jet skis and their hobby horses, that
Yep.
they don't quite need more land just yet. So I don't know if Cash has just been swiping for not really any reason on Zillow recently, but it seems like there's not any actual beef between the two.
Yeah.
And Cash, Maverick, and Harper all try playing it off as though, we knew that was a prank.
You think you pranked us?
No,
but-
I didn't believe it because I'm smart.
Oh, no, I didn't believe it neither.
I'm smart.
We knew you weren't actually mad at each other.
Did they? Because also minutes before, when the girls left, Cash said they were being irrational. Maverick said they were being crazy. I think they couldn't even reflect in that moment of, maybe we stirred that a little bit too much.
Yeah,
They were inciting rage.
I think they were trying to save face.
I think they were too.
I think it was an embarrassing attempt because
There was no compromise either. It was never like Cash said, I'll just get a storage space for the communal jet skis or whatever, or like, just put them out on the water somewhere.
Yeah.
He was never saying, okay, why don't I just get all these gifts and just give them to you guys now, free up some space in the attic. I think it also begs the question, did the girls even want to put stuff up in the attic? It seems dangerous up there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could fall through at any moment. One too many hobby horses will be the straw that breaks the camel's back and send the whole ceiling crashing down.
And this time, Cash, he's lucky just having a hole in his sock and maybe a bruised ankle.
Yeah.
But he could have been impaled on that dinosaur hobby horse.
Yeah, that could have gone right through his perineum.
So the episode wraps up. It's 10 o'clock. It's everyone's bedtime. Harper, Cash, and Maverick are all like, the girls are going to clean this up. And Kenzie and Kate are like, you know what? I think Alex is going to clean this up.
Yeah. And so that, concludes just...
It's a little game of janitorial grab ass.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was a kind of an uneventful way for this episode to go out, because this was a truly gangbusters episode. They left no stone unturned, except for whether Cash's prank was definitively a prank. I mean, I'll concede it to you for now, but we never got concrete proof. I just want to bring that up.
About what?
Him crashing through the ceiling, whether that was intentional or not. If that was a true dyed-in-the-wool prank.
I mean, come on. He knows where the fault lines are in that attic. Otherwise, they might as well get the whole ceiling patched.
I think we'll have to leave this for another episode.
Reinforced steel beams up there. Come on. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen. Alex isn't family. Him traipsing around up there. He makes one wrong step. He fucking breaks his neck.
Look, Cash, you fooled me once. Shame on you. If you do it again, if you crash through that ceiling one more time as a prank, it's going to be shame on me. But for now, I think I have reason to believe that, just snacks it.
But I commend Kenzie and Kate. I mean, their prank was absolutely superb. A+ in my book.
Oh, absolutely.
I was clapping with corporeal delight by the end of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, it looked real as hell. And I guess we should just be glad that it wasn't an actual conflict, that this was just a rehearsed, well-staged, well-executed prank on both of their behalves. And yeah, it just made for a great episode of their podcast. I mean, LOL Podcast, you cracked us up. You shocked us. Neither of us saw a number of these surprises coming, and we're just excited to see what you do along the line.
I'm excited to see all the skits and sketches that they birth. I mean, this show is nothing short of a comedic masterpiece.
That's right. And it has been an absolute joy and privilege to be covering it with you. If you enjoyed this companion episode to the LOL podcast episode, we're so glad you did. And We're always on the lookout for other podcasts to cover, to serve as a companion to. So if there's any that you're dying for us to sink our teeth into, for you to better understand those episodes, give them a shout out in the comments. We're always open to suggestions. We appreciate you joining us week after week, tuning in to these breakdowns and insights, and we hope you learn a lot.
And I hope we didn't get too pedagogical on everybody. You know, we want to keep it light. We want to keep it fun as well.
Yeah. And so if you take away some stuff, amazing. Anything you take away, amazing. If you had some fun in the process, that's all we hope for too.
Well, listen, we will see you guys next week covering a new podcast. So keep your eyes peeled. And thanks for checking out this episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.